online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads from over 200 countries and your number one source in after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, fellow HBO's The Leftover fans. Welcome to our AfterBuzz wrap-up for Episode 9, The Garveys at Their Best. I'm your host, Alana Jordan, and with me, as always, are the absolutely wonderful...
Hey guys, I'm Zach Wilson.
Hey, I'm Kelly McInerney.
All right, so last week, things got crazy, and we were super excited to find out what was going to happen next. And instead...
They make us wait even longer.
They make us wait, but we found out what happened before. So it's almost as good as finding out what happens next.
Well, it's something I think you see on a lot of TV shows these days. Is like they give you something absolutely nuts in episode 8 that you can't wait to see what happens next, and then they give you like something completely different in episode 9, and you're like, but what was going on with the thing that you did with the last week and the
normally
death, and
I would
there's
be
like
so
the
mad.
glass in the neck, and
if they had said like on the preview last week, by the way, you're not going to find out what happens to Patty's body or what goes down, I would be like, unacceptable. Yeah. But then I watched this episode and it was actually really worth it. So
I followed one of the writers on Twitter, Kath Leffeninger.
Yeah.
And she said that DL planned on this from day one, like episode 9 would be a flashback.
Doesn't surprise me.
That does not surprise me in the slightest. Yeah. Building up that anticipation even more.
Damn it, Lindelof, you bastard.
But we also found out a bunch of stuff that kind of makes other things make sense. It's answered a few questions, at least. I think that's why we were still really satisfied with the episode, is because even though they didn't necessarily address the questions we were expecting them to, they addressed some questions that we've been having anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this episode had me at multiple points just going like, oh. Like, my face, there's people in, like, because I was watching on a laptop with the headphones, and people were walking by, what the hell is that face Zach's making?
I was just like,
the Leftovers face.
I get it now. I get why she's like that now.
Crazy. And everybody, I love too when they have the episodes that everyone's super interconnected.
Yeah.
And this week they even threw in a little reference to the lady with the baby from the first episode, just a small cameo, but just like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's overall, it was a really solid episode. I approve of this one. I know sometimes I waver a little bit. This one I'm all about.
Mm-hmm. Ditto.
So let's start off with Nora, because she's been this huge character. Everybody's been kind of wondering, she lost her whole family. That's got to be awful. That's got to be awful. And then we see that she's had kind of a strained relationship with her family, even from the get-go.
Yeah. And she seems like a working woman at first, like now, present day, like all about her job. And back then, she didn't even have a job. She's like a kind of a stay-at-home mom, kind of.
It seemed like a situation where she gave up her career to raise the family.
Yeah.
And this is like, okay, the kids are getting to that age where they might not need a babysitter all the time, and I can start going to work again.
Yes, and I love that line, too, when she's interviewing with Lucy, and she says, as far as you're concerned, for the next 4 weeks, I don't have a family.
Yeah.
And she seemed relieved by that.
Mm-hmm. And when they're about to disappear, you see her like look up and kind of wish something maybe,
and then it happens.
It happened.
Just kind of the, oh my God, how did I get to this point look, and then now they're gone.
Yeah.
And also to leave on that note, I love how they show where everybody was when they vanished too, because I've been wondering that. Probably you guys too, from the very beginning, and wanting to see all these major characters and their reactions.
Yeah.
Because we've seen these kind of tertiary characters that are coming back every now and then, but not as much as, the Garveys.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was very interesting when we opened up on Nora, we got that very like it seemed like she was in a good marriage and she loved her kids. It seemed to be going really well. He was very supportive. He's like, do you think you're gonna get it?
Mommy.
Then you're gonna get it. And we're like, yeah.
Was he that supportive though? Because he's like, sorry, I had to work late. Sorry. Oh.
Well, that's what I mean.
You
Like,
know?
at first, they made us
Yeah.
think that he was being supportive because that pep talk was great. That was like a perfect pep talk. Like, if you think you're gonna get it, you're gonna get it.
Mm-hmm.
And then later, I mean, even knowing that he's cheating on her at this time.
I feel like that was the whole episode. At first, it's like everything's so awesome, but then you look closer and you see all these like cracks in what's like they all were messed up
Which
from the
I
beginning.
love that's how the opening too. We literally see the cracked walls.
Yeah.
We see like all these tiny allusions to something big is happening. You know, Kevin's has a leak in his coffee cup, and there's a crack on the wall, and there's all these tiny little things that just let you know that there's just a small inkling that something's off. But the cold open, he walks into this gorgeous, picturesque house. He's still wearing his wedding ring. That was the first thing I noticed when he did the cigarette, and I was like, what is happening? And then we see, you know, it's this flashback to this amazing life that they used to have. But just everybody in this episode is so perfectly interconnected, and they all fall back into that nothing was quite right even before it all went wrong.
It felt like a picturesque town, like but a standard town with like little things going wrong here and there, but for the most part like a town that had its stuff together. When they on the first moments of the cold open when he's jogging, I felt like, whoa, did he just like get away with it? After we came in from last week, I was like, oh, badass, Kevin. You're just like, yeah, I kidnapped a woman in a psychotic state, but I'm just going for a jog, you know, whatever.
There's so many dream sequences too.
Yeah.
I never know what I'm seeing on this show.
I thought he like lived in some cult or something, and with like a fancy. I was like, wait, what's going on? Then I kind of thought, oh wait, I think that might be Lori. This might be a flashback. And
I thought it was Nora. I thought this was going to be. I thought we were taking another jump forward a few months because we ended on Jill going over to the GR. So like he's all of a sudden in a house by himself. If it's 6 months later, let's say, that's a totally reasonable explanation that he and Nora could have like moved in together.
And I love that they purposely keep her out of focus until that very last.
And Lori's like a solid brunette that you can't quite see. Like it easily could have been Nora until she turns
so well. And it also, this episode gave us more insight into Nora when we see in the episode Guest, where she's buying all those groceries and really sticking to that set list. And then we have the line this episode, because I'm sick of trying to figure out which juice boxes are
organic. Yeah.
And then that's all she wants now. She's lost all of it. And so now she's trying to cling back. And we just see, you know, the guilt and the frustration, and all of it starts making more sense. It starts piecing together a little bit better.
Yeah. I think she feels super... I think she did wish, like, for a second that they weren't there. And maybe she feels like she did this, even though, I mean, it's happened to 2% of the population.
Yeah, I mean, it's that classic story of that a lot of people have of like, what's the last thing you said to someone before they died? And if it's sometimes it is something terrible, and you can never take that back. The last thing she said to her family was, "God damn it, I told you to use two hands."
And then made Aaron cry.
Yeah, made her daughter cry. Pissed, like her husband was like, ugh, he's like pissed off at her.
I love too that they showed Jeremy, her little son, when Aaron's praying, and then he goes, prayers are stupid. So that feeds even more into the, well, they clearly didn't pick the most religious. Like, this is a little punk kid that keeps, you know, demanding food and saying that he doesn't care about prayer and this, that, and the other, where she's saying, no, don't say that. And then she's left behind. So I love that they have these little subtle things where you can't figure out why it's these 2%. And then this just feeds even more into that. It's brilliantly constructed.
Yeah.
And I also love the flashback to Kev Sr. too. Because
he's a normal dude.
He's so different. We see how different he is.
Yeah, like man of the year. He's like the perfect normal guy, kind of, you know? It's crazy. And then he becomes crazy.
He becomes super crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane. I love, too, after Kevin does his whole big speech, and then he has that scene with his dad, and he says, that was a beautiful speech. I almost believed you. And we see that insight that Kevin Sr. has this connection with his son. He can tell when something's not right, even though he's putting on this brave face in the show. So it makes sense more, too, that they have this connection afterwards as well. And they have that whole conversation about bigger purpose.
Yeah.
And there is no greater purpose. This is all there is. This is enough. Two, now Kevin Sr. is saying, no, there's a huge purpose. You're selected. There is a greater purpose. This is what you've been searching for. And we see that Kevin has been searching this whole time, too. And Kevin Sr. is really pinpointing that it was an issue from the beginning.
It's crazy.
Well, I thought it was interesting to see at the top of their relationship, like where we get to see the two Kevins like butting heads a little bit at work with the deer.
The deer, yeah.
But just like, and that's like Kevin Jr.'s thing, but Kevin Sr. is just like, look, it's causing problems. Take it out. Get a gun. You're going to find the deer. You're going to go up. You're going to shoot the deer in the face. Then you don't have a deer problem anymore. That's his attitude. But like, we get this much softer version of our chief, who's like very like we don't. I would never have pegged him for like, no, we gotta capture the deer and let it go in the woods and let it be free.
And let it be happy because he's just confused. And then I love too when Nora's daughter Erin says maybe the deer lost its family. Maybe that's why it's so confused and upset and lashing out. And she's kind of like, okay, because in that moment that doesn't mean anything yet to her. And then she's just like, well, maybe. But to the audience, that has such a huge weight to that line is, you know, what happens when you lose your family? Do you just go crazy? Do you freak out? And I just love that whole connection.
Yeah. And then, then with Kevin Sr., we got the party.
The party was where some things really came to light. We see, you know, Matt and his wife, and they're all happy, and finally she, you know, gets some lines, which is also nice.
Not just sitting comatose.
Yeah, that has got to be rough as an actress, being like, all right, well, I'm here to sit for a while and stare at nothing.
You get that call from your agent. I got you booked on the HBO show, the new one with Damon Lindelof. It's going to be huge. Oh, what's my part? You're in a coma.
You're a catatonic woman.
Okay.
Hey, it's easy money, though. You just take a nap and you get paid for it. I'd do that.
I love, though, that they have, you know, these flashbacks. Because after Patty died last episode, no, and Dowd, she's such a good actress. I want to see more of her. And then they're like, okay, we'll bring her
Here
back.
she is.
So at least this show has all these flashbacky things. So if somebody's ever gone, they're not fully gone, which is ironic.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we're gonna get too much more flashback. Dream sequences, definitely. But like, what I thought was really interesting is that, especially at the party scene, we got to see all of these people in totally different levels of just their humanity. Everyone had a sense of humor throughout the episode. Matt especially, he was like a smiling guy, cracking jokes, like talking about how generous Kevin Sr. is. He was fun. Everyone else is having a good time. Nobody's having fun in current day.
No.
The Leftovers.
It's all changed.
This is everyone is so like throughout. Every single person is just in a much better place, or at least they seem to be.
I feel like they didn't realize, well, obviously they didn't realize it. That's why they were still not 100% happy. Like, even in the party scene, you could tell Kevin was just, like, taking it in and being like, I wish I could enjoy this right now, but something's bothering me. But
he's feeling, I think, what Patty felt, these little tremors. Something's off. Something's slightly wrong.
Yeah. And it just wasn't working for him. But, yeah. Maybe, do you think more, not just Patty, but him and other people felt, like a bunch of people felt it?
Yeah, well, they even show Lori, and she's feeling something. Yeah. Everybody's feeling that something's off, but everyone thinks that it's a personal thing. And, you know, it really, at that point, it is. It's just their own personal issues and their personal things that they're having to deal with. I feel like the biggest change that we see is in Jill, especially, because we see she doesn't really have those issues. She's the only character that seems genuinely really happy with her life. She's this sweet, happy girl with braces, singing along to her iPod and
watching a Pop-Tart cat or
the
something.
Neon Cat.
Nyan Cat.
Yeah. You haven't seen Neon Cat?
No.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's such a weird thing, but it is like
It's funny
3
and
years
it's
ago.
fun. Yeah.
It was like the epitome of 3 years ago.
Yeah, that was a really good kind of pop culture reference that they had there too. And I love that they show Kevin later watching it because he doesn't get it and he's trying to, and you see him with this look on his face like, what? I don't understand this Pop-Tart cat and the rainbow poo. I just don't get it.
Yeah, because
But
I
he
remember when
tried so hard.
I remember somebody showed me that cat, and I was just like, I don't know, what is this supposed to be?
I loved it instantly.
But it was also just a well written like moment to establish when we are, because we could have flashed back to any time. We know we're 3 years ago. Like this is 3 years before the insanity.
I thought it was also kind of funny that the song that Jill was listening to was Without You. And she was singing Without You. Like, that was clever. That was clever, guys. Nice little hint.
I mean, she had the braces. The braces were another giveaway. It's like, okay, this is like old thing.
And I love, too, they show, like, her relationship with Tommy and that they're really close because now in present day, with him physically being away, we don't know how close they were growing up. We know that they're step-siblings. You know, you don't know if they had that bond, that true relationship, and now you see that they have that.
I don't think
they're half siblings.
And I think Kevin adopted Tommy, didn't, because he calls him Dad.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
So it's like full-fledged sibs now.
Yeah. Well, by blood, they're half sister, half brother. But like, they were raised together. Like he was there for her whole life. Like they are truly bonded, and you can see that in the show with her little overalls. It's like Big Brother. And he's got like he comes home with like bludgeons to the back of the head, and like. And like new tattoos, and she's just like, oh hey Tommy, I've got my new pink overalls, we're gonna go to the science fair.
She kind of looks up to him though, and it's kind of sad that he's not around anymore. I guess maybe it's another reason why she probably got
so lost.
And dark and everything.
Poor goth Jill.
Yeah. And we didn't see Amy either, so I wonder.
No, we didn't see Amy, which I think feeds back into my whole theory about her being like the mystery man. But we'll see.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Amy wasn't there.
There was so much going on in this episode.
I feel like Amy didn't come around until after everything went down. Yeah, I feel like she wasn't introduced. I feel like that was. I don't know. We'll get more into all of those things too, but I feel like that's a possibility.
I'm like this is now running through my head of like, no, she totally just wasn't there.
No.
When she was being dropped off at the school and they said something about cigarettes, that wasn't Amy, right? Because I remember her. All right.
Amy was not in this episode. So
at all.
And again, 3 years. So she could have moved to town during all of this, like after,
and Amy
in the
doesn't
fallout.
have this family. I just feel like with Amy, I get this mystery man vibe. I feel like she's the same as mystery man. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm way off base, but I feel like it's a possibility.
It definitely is after this episode because she wasn't there.
Well, because at that point it seems like Tommy was a really close friend to Jill. We didn't really see as much of her friends because she was so tied to her family.
Yeah.
And
he wasn't even there though because he just came back from college, right? But I don't know. She still seemed pretty close. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I love too in this episode when we see Tommy and we see that he is literally handcuffed to his past. He's been visiting his dad and now he can't get away. He's literally trapped himself in this situation. And we see this recurring theme of everybody feeling trapped. Nora's trapped in her situation. Tommy's physically not incarcerated, but he's in handcuffs in the back of a police car. And then we also see how close Kevin really feels to Tommy. So you know that when Tommy leaves him, how hard he's really taking it, because Tommy had been going looking for this father figure, and Kevin's saying, I'm your father. You don't need to visit him. I'm your father. Why do you keep doing this?
Mm-hmm. And I like how he said that he's pretending it didn't happen. And Kevin's like, well, you know, sometimes it's best to pretend that it didn't happen, you know, because what he did was so terrible to you and your mom. So.
Sometimes you have to pretend. A direct conflict from what Lori tells him, which is, don't try to forget. You're never going to forget it. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And so you see that Lori and Kevin already, before it dives even more into it, they're not on the same page.
Yeah.
They have two completely different views on really everything at this point. So
even the dog.
The dog. That was sad.
That Kevin doesn't want a dog.
Yeah, I wanted that puppy. I thought it was adorable. I was like, I understand, Lori. I want that puppy too.
Well, I guess he's got his hands full with Tommy right now. I mean, in a sense, I guess Tommy was sort of his taking in a stray, if you will. Like, not that he found him on the streets or anything, but he took somebody else's son and raised him. And I think that's why he reacts so strongly to the biological dad, who I didn't
Michael.
Thank you. It's Michael, such a biblical name. That doesn't strike me as nothing. Like, obviously the Archangel Michael, one of God's like original sons, has abandoned his son, and then had his own kid who he raises on his own. That's that's gonna mess with your psychological.
Which is why I think Tommy goes after Holy Wayne. He's still looking for that father figure. He's still looking for some sort of validation. And I feel like even though Kevin has been his father and has raised him, Kevin's had his own things to deal with, and he doesn't, you know, Tommy doesn't quite feel that he's always going to be searching for that father that's going to accept him and make him feel like he wasn't. You
don't think Kevin was that father?
I think he was, but I feel like Tom is just always going to be looking for another father figure, because his actual dad clearly did something horrible and abandoned him, and he keeps coming back to him. He keeps searching for it.
I think it's more that I think this is more about what I'm seeing from is more clarification as to why he doesn't want Wayne's hug. Because Wayne's hug, I think he accepts that it would clear him of whatever wrongness he's feeling, but he must not feel like he deserves it. His dad abandoned him to raise another, and then later it wasn't about like, I can't raise a kid, because later he's obviously raising a kid. It was something about, if he takes it as something about him specifically, there's something wrong with him. He doesn't deserve a good family like the Garveys. He doesn't deserve to get hugged and let his pain drift away. He has to endure it. He has to throw himself on the sword. That's a very biblical stance to take. And like anything with this show, anything biblical is not to be ignored. He is very much throwing himself to the wind and saying,
martyring himself.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. A martyr. He's martyring himself for, I don't know what, something.
Well, I think it's because Lori said, you know, don't forget. And I feel like he doesn't want to forget. Yeah, he's kind of still listening to his mom.
He takes that to heart. He is always going to be searching for this validation. And I absolutely love, too, that it ends with, you know, him and Jill at the science fair. And Jill's project is entropy, which is the natural order of things to go from order to disorder. And so the whole thing is based off of this entropy. And then we see Jill and Tommy and everybody spin off into this entropy, this chaos that comes from order and things' natural progression, and the scientific state of things wanting to find disorder from order.
I mean, it was as soon as they were like, we're gonna go be a circuit, we're gonna complete a circuit, it was like, I mean, it was still awesome, that moment, like their departure moment, but like you could see like, oh, this is gonna be,
well, we literally see the light go out. We literally see this hope, this happiness, this desire for normalcy, these everyday mundane things, this light that they've created, this happiness, it's gone.
And and just like the world with those, it was about two, like just one or two of those people from the circle were gone. Not a whole bunch. There were about 10 people, like 2 disappeared. So that's 20%, not 2, but like just a couple of people disappeared. And that's enough to break the cycle, break the light. No, you can't keep a light on when you're missing part of the circuit. And just like the world, I wonder if the world is slowly going out now, if that's what we're building to after these 3 years. Although at this point, Wayne's like, it's been 3 years, something big's gonna happen. It's been like 8 months since it was 3 years, Wayne. I mean, be a little more accurate with your predictions, guy.
Well, then we have Patty, who's in Lori's office, making her predictions, too, about the end of the world. And I love that because you see that Patty is just a damaged person. It makes sense that this is where this cult came from. Because in her head, she's been looking for some sort of grandiose something. And then it's almost like the crazy homeless people who are like, the world is ending, the world is ending.
They were right.
And then when it does, they're like, see, I was right all along. And you're like, no, you were still crazy. But... and so it creates this kind of setup for that cult mentality, and we see her and Lori and their interaction together too, which I absolutely loved.
I called that, by the way. I knew she was a therapist.
Lori?
A few episodes ago, I said, hey, maybe she's the therapist. Like the one Gladys.
You did call it. You did.
I'm just taking that. I just wanted to
Drop it in the jar.
And Gladys is there too with the puppies. Yep. It all is full circle.
Gladys is like, goes from like the darkest storyline ever to fluffy puppies.
Yeah, a lady with puppies. I hope nothing happened to those puppies. I know all the animals go crazy. I feel like something bad happened with
the puppies are running wild in a pack, killing deers and being shot by the bald man. Unfortunately.
I don't really want to think about that. It's sad.
I know, it is sad.
But I mean, I don't think that it's that. Again, I don't think that's an empty connection. That like Gladys raised these dogs, so Gladys who then went to the GR, which is now raising, I don't know what, order from the chaos. I guess that's their sort of mentality.
I feel like it's not even order from the chaos. It's just saying acknowledge that there's chaos. Look around, be aware of yourselves, and accept that everything is crazy. Stop trying to pretend like it's good. It's never going to be good. Wake up. Remember.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I don't think it is chaos, really. It's just an unexplained phenomenon. But like any unexplained phenomenon, there is still an explanation somewhere. There is a reason for it. Just out of chaos comes order. What seems like chaos, what seemed random, has a reason to it. What seems like molecules just forming and pulling together is forming order. It's forming a planet, it's forming planets, forming people, forming everything in the universe. This is just some function of the universe fluctuating that like we just don't know yet. Because I think it is very much, it's not a spiritual in the sense of like an almighty being is just like, click. I felt like messing up the world for a few years to see what would happen. This is like, there's something more to the world that this had to happen for a reason. We may not get that reason, but I think we're going to get towards it.
We at least are getting answers to some of these questions.
Yeah.
Which is, it's not everything, but it's
something.
It's pacifying me, at least. But I do love that we see more about Lori, too, when she's with Patty, and she flat out lies. And Patty's like, I know you feel it, too. Well, I'm sorry, that's just not true. And we see that Lori from the get-go wasn't, it makes sense that she would break and that she would go to the GR.
That's the one story, like, all the storylines were awesome this episode, but that one I was like, all right. It makes sense now why she's like that, especially with the whole, surprise.
Why Lori, it explains why Lori is so loyal to Patty and so willing to follow her no matter what. because she was there talking to Patty, like thinking this person is nuts, this person is crazy, this person's just loving over this dude, Neil. What if Neil is the bald man? What if the bald... No, wait, that doesn't make any sense. No. I take it back instantly.
He uses dogs, not people. The bald man.
Yeah. Well, also, she was trying to dig up dirt on him, so he couldn't be the guy who was abusing her.
Yeah.
It's more of... It was just like a cool twist that was in my brain that doesn't make any sense.
I feel like he didn't even exist before the sudden departure. I feel like he came into existence as something sent down to help Kevin. And, we see, too, in this episode... What did you guys think about the people who pulled up in the car that said, "Are you ready?" right before the explosion in the main. Who are they? Do you think that they were sent? Do you think they're others?
They are somehow connected to the GR because Kevin is sitting there smoking in a white t-shirt, and they're framing very specifically during that scene, never from the waist down. We only see him in white with a cigarette. True. That's all we see in that sequence. And so I think that they thought he was GR, that he was the one.
Well, GR didn't exist yet at that point.
Not in the form we know them to be.
That's true.
I think it was people that were about to disappear, and they're like, "Are you ready?" Oh no, wait, wrong. You're staying. You're staying in this world.
It was very culty.
It was. It's creepy.
But what?
And with the big explosion at the end, which is just, I think, a preface for the big explosion that he and Lori have.
Yeah.
Or he's stuck in hell, Just saying.
Oh, yeah, the gas main explosion.
Yeah, right after they leave.
Just straight out Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's what it was.
Half expected, Michelangelo just pop out of the sewer, hey, crossover. Anyway. But I think that the four people in the car, I think that they are somehow GR. Because we established that Patty has a feeling that it's coming. She knows that it's coming, and she is getting ready for it. I never felt this before. If these people also felt it, they could be getting there to start forming and then once it happens, they're like, oh, now we know our mission. Now we know what we need to do to... We know what our purpose is. Let's talk about everybody searching for a purpose. Mm-hmm. The GR is getting all these tremors, these hints of something dark coming. And then it finally comes, and now they know, oh, that's what we got to do. That's our purpose in the world.
I like that. That's interesting.
Now stop talking and eat and smoke a lot of cigarettes.
I love, too, that Lori on her calendar, the day before the October 13th, it has that quote, the foot feels the foot when it feels the ground, which, by the way, is not a Buddhist quote. Everyone thinks that that's a Buddhist quote. Buddha never said that. That was definitely Ernest Woods in 1971 in the Zen dictionary, not Buddha.
Same thing.
But anyway.
Sir.
I'll hop off my soapbox and talk more about that quote. But I love that because you see these people don't really feel themselves. They don't feel fully complete until they're pushed, until they feel that resistance, until they feel something pushing back against them, and then they become more aware of themselves. And I feel like we especially find that in Kevin this episode with the deer and everything too, which is definitely a metaphor for himself. It's just been this symbol for himself, and it's this lost, confused deer that he's trying to save and he's trying to help, and then it gets hit by a car and he has to help it die.
It's constantly getting itself trapped in different places, different situations, and Lori calls him out on it. She's just I get why you sympathize with this deer, because you feel trapped in a lot of things. He feels trapped in his marriage. Mm-hmm. Maybe he feels trapped with Tommy a little bit. He got stuck with this kid and he loves him, but he can't get away anymore, even though it's not his kid. Mm-hmm. He is now trapped entangled in his life, whether he wants to be or not. And he's just trying to buck his way out of it, and then change the first letter of that, and he's doing something else to get out of it.
Well, it goes back to what Kevin Sr. said to him, every man rebels that this is it, you know? It's that this is, you know, you have it. Enjoy it, you know? But he didn't want it to just to be it. And
yeah, I loved the conversation that they had about or rather his speech. Then his dad was like, that was total BS. Like,
yeah.
But the conversation with the universe, the universe owes you nothing. Everybody in that, a lot of people, especially Kevin, feels like the universe owes him something. Like, he's done everything right. He fell in love with a woman, has the perfect life, raised her kid. Well, that was not his at all. Like, that's a selfless act.
But he doesn't think he's a good man. So there's something, he feels like he's not doing everything good.
There's the crack. There's the crack in the wall of the perfect house. And from the outside, it looks great until you notice that one little crack.
Yeah.
I mean, the crack in the mug is like the bagel in the toaster all over again. It's something inexplicable not working. How did the bagel get trapped in there? How did the coffee leak out of the mug with no a ceramic mug doesn't have like a pinhole in it. That'd be a really tough thing to make, but great prank tool if you could pull it off. But I think he feels like he's a cop. He goes around saving people for a living.
I love when he talks to Lori and he goes, "Oh, it's the deer." "Oh, well, you better go save him." And he just, "F you, Lori."
Yeah, whoa. Because they'd seemed pretty happy before.
Yeah.
Like, what triggered that? Like, that was like a 0 to 60 moment in their relationship, or like a 180.
He's been dishonest with her this whole time. He's been keeping things. They don't have that connection that, you know, a soulmate married couple who have been around and have been through so much, you would think that they would be able to be honest. And he says, "You know, you don't want me to tell the truth." "Yes, I do." "Well, I don't want a dog." You know, like, just flat out, "Why didn't you say it?" "Because that's what you wanted, and I'm just doing what you want, and I'm being pulled into all these things." And it feels like all these people have no sense of self, that they're all just reactions to other people.
They're defined not by themselves, but how other people see them. And that's a tough place to be in. Like, when you feel he's a cop because his dad was a cop, not because he wanted to be a cop. He's married to Lori because she wanted him to get married, probably. She wanted him to raise his kid. That's not the worst thing in the world. And then he's in it for 15 years, and he's not sure he wants it. You don't find yourself
until you find that resistance, until you find that kind of pushback. Perfect quote. The foot feels the foot when it feels the ground. And that, I think that should have been the name of the episode, but
too many words, maybe.
Yeah, too many. Also, it is kind of sad that this is the Garveys at their best. Even at their best, they weren't all the way there. So, and
except Jill.
Jill
except for Jill.
Happy well, she's not old enough. Jill. She's not old enough for the world to have crushed her hopes and spirits yet.
Yeah, I love too that we definitely called that the lady he was going to be cheating on with vanishes.
Yeah.
Imagine that. He's straight up like inside someone and they're just gone.
That's insane.
That's like,
and he's cheating on his wife.
Yeah.
For presumably the very first time, and then it's like instant. He probably just thinks he's insane.
He's like throwing the sheets up. What just happened?
Yeah.
I don't know whose is worse.
Yeah.
His or Lori's. Lori being there looking at your baby, and then all of a sudden,
your
baby's off the monitor.
I think that's worse because that's inside you, you know?
Yeah.
That's there. And it just, boop.
Oh.
That's it.
It makes sense that she snaps. It makes sense.
Yeah,
you understand.
Oh, yeah. That's it's another level. Like, holding someone's hand and they disappear, freaky. Having sex with somebody and they disappear, but having a baby disappear from inside your womb.
And she hasn't even told Kevin. This is at her point. At this point, it is just her baby. This is hers. Hers alone.
And I think she was still considering an abortion.
It seems like
that was the implication when Dr. Singley called the point about when she's saying the point of no return. She's getting to a point where they can't perform the abortion anymore.
Yeah.
And in that moment, you could see on her face, she says, when she decides to hear the heartbeat, she's going to keep it.
Yeah.
Like she's going to have this baby.
And then that decision is just ripped away.
Taken away from her. Although what does this mean for if we have our crazy theory happens, or like one of the crazy theories thrown and they all come back? If season 2 is people coming back, she's just like randomly pregnant again.
I don't know. I don't think that they're coming back. I just don't think it's happening. I think they're all gone for good, because I think it would just be too convoluted if they came back too.
That'd be a whole different show, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like that would just be
that would be Resurrection on ABC.
Yeah.
Like, that's what that is. I don't, that's not the way that I think the show's going, but it would be a twist. Or maybe not all the people come back, but some of them would be an interesting, especially just to see how people handle it. If that's like truly, if the show is truly never going to go down the answers route, which I stand by. I don't think they're never going to explain everything on this show, but I think we are going to get more answers than we have now. They're not just going to never explain it. The question will just change as we get more information. The question will become something you didn't even think you could be asking at this point. I mean, think of Lost. Like, did you think you'd be asking about like crazy brothers and whatever heaven stuff? We can't even get into it. It's so complicated. But like, you didn't think you'd be asking about that 9 episodes into season 1.
This show is just great at, as soon as it answers one thing, brings up 20 more questions. That you're like, but wait, what about but go back and how? It's phenomenal. I absolutely love it, and I think that this episode just really rounded out that this is gonna be I'm really excited for the finale.
Me too. It really changed my opinion of Lori, because I was like, God damn you, stupid. I hated her. Now I'm like, shoot. Well,
yeah.
I think
she's already overwhelmed.
I think they made us sympathize with her just in time for her to take over for Patty in a villainous sort of way.
But I also love too that the dynamic with her and her daughter, and she's saying, these puppies, they seem pretty young to be taken away from their mother. She says it's natural, they don't need her anymore. And so in her head, Jill doesn't need her anymore. Tommy doesn't need her anymore. It's fine for her to go off. So I'm interested to see when Jill comes in and she sees, oh, wait, maybe she does need me. I'm interested to see where this show takes it.
It's really funny, too, because Jill, like, Tommy asks, how is everybody? Like, how is mom and dad? And Jill says she thinks that dad's going to leave when it's the other way around.
Well, I think he was going to leave. If the departure hadn't happened, I bet he leaves.
Well, yeah, because he cheated on Lori. I feel like that was kind of his final swoop was, well, I did this. It's the point of no return. There's no going back.
You think maybe he was just doing it just to try it and then be like, nah, you know what? I'm happy with my family.
I don't think so.
I mean, it was definitely him like acting out, where he was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I need something. He felt stuck. He felt like he was in a rut. Like, I think the capturing the deer thing was partially him trying to do something different. Like, make a difference. Instead of just killing the deer, save it. Like, that would give him an excitement that would help him get past this feeling of uselessness.
It's salvageable. There's some way to save this lost, confused soul.
Make him feel like he has a purpose. And so, like, engaging in a new relationship is sort of making him feel like he has a purpose, if you will.
I don't even think it was a new relationship. I think he was just trying to,
Well, new relationship, whether it's going to be for 2 hours or for 2 years, like, it's just something new, like trying something new, because whatever he's doing right now isn't working.
And them cutting between him cheating on Lori and then Lori in the hospital alone.
Yeah, wow, bad timing, Kevin.
Jeez.
Ugh. Amazing way that they cut it together. Do you guys have anything else about this episode? I mean, I just think overall,
I guess just my final thoughts on that last moment, like that was the big, like, my eyes were wide, like, whoa, as we like walked through everyone's, like when we saw the woman with the baby, like giving Lori the look, we saw like we see everyone in their moment, in that moment, like the 9/11 comparison I've talked about before. It's, imagine if you could have a camera on all of these people's faces at the moment they find out, the moment they see it happen. It's horrifying. It's frightening to see through their eyes that feeling of wonder, fear, and just no knowledge of what's happening. A complete disbelief, all at once. It was a great moment on the show.
The editing on this one was pretty spot on. The writing, the editing, the act, everything was just spot on.
A+.
Good job, guys. Good job. So let's dive into some news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
I don't really have that much news, but I do want to do a shout out to Lucy Mort on Twitter, LucyMort14. Thanks for watching us and always commenting and saying nice things and tweeting us. We like you, Lucy.
Yeah. Keep kicking ass, Lucy.
Yeah. And everybody else, check us out. If you're watching us on YouTube, we would love for you to listen to us on iTunes as well. To all of our iTunes listeners, thank you so much for listening. Make sure that you rate us and comment and give us your feedback. We love hearing back from you guys. And all of our AfterBuzz shows do have that iTunes podcast. Make sure that you listen to a whole bunch of your favorite TV show wrap-ups. I know I do Face Off on Sci-Fi.
I'm also, you guys can catch me on The Strain and MasterChef, and coming down the pipe, I'm going to be doing some Doctor Who stuff, if you're a big fan of Doctor Who.
Oh, snap.
Grace Point in the fall, as well as a few others, so stay tuned for a big list.
I'm just, maybe some fall shows, because all my other ones, season finale.
Are done?
Did Catfish and
NBC's
Crossbones.
not going to do like 300 episodes of Crossbones?
Nope.
Oh, well, thank you guys, too, for listening, commenting. Definitely give us all your feedback. You guys have had some great predictions, too.
Yeah.
I want to hear your predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz
One episode left. Ugh, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, my predictions are not going to be that different from last week, because this episode didn't give us too much new stuff to build on. I have to, I guess, new stuff. I think Tommy's coming back to town, because he's not going to know what to do with Wayne's new baby. And, like, now that there's multiple Wayne babies out there, like, potential Antichrist baby things floating around. Dad, for the love of God, somebody help me.
Yeah.
2 men and a baby.
Wow.
I mean, I guess with Jill out of the house, that would be the situation. Well, but also random pregnant, like...
Christine.
Yeah, Christine. I was going to say, like, what do you call, like, when you have, like, a harem of, what would one member of a harem be?
Harry.
A Harry of the Harem. That's a whole new show, I think.
Yeah.
I think it should be animated. Harry and the Harem?
Yeah.
Well, that's my suggestion, Leftovers.
Get John
Make a new
Lithgow and I'm in.
spin-off. I think that just things are going to keep getting crazier and crazier. I feel like because we saw that dishonesty with Lori and Kevin and that being a huge thing, obviously Lori is going to side with Patty in the situation if she even finds out about what happened. So I wonder if Kevin is going to go to Lori and be honest with her, or if he's just even further away at this point. I'm really interested to see what happens with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think just stuff's gonna go down. Hardcore. That's it. But yeah.
I think that's legit.
No, I don't know. It's Lindelof. It's Damon Lindelof. Like, anything could happen. I do think they're going to give us some kind of big answer twist, like answer that raises 30 questions before we go into. Now, especially knowing that they have a season 2, that this isn't like some like it's not a mini series or something. They're going to have to answer some question about the departure that will only just raise 100 more
Even
questions.
more questions
Yeah.
and make us super impatient for next season.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
We heard it here first. It's gonna go down. It's going down.
Going down.
On the finale. So
second
hope
departure.
You guys join us for the finale as well. Thank you so much for listening, watching, hanging out with us. I am Alana Jordan. You can find me at Twitter at Alana Jordan.
And you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ZachWilson, ThatZachWilson. And we shouted out the podcast, but be sure to tune in those other shows.
And I'm Kelly McInerney. You can check me out on Facebook and not Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Holly Weirdo.
Thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and hope you have a fabulous night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.